There have been plenty of names tossed around when talking about who should replace Sergio Perez. But according to one pundit, the decision is clear, and it's not Daniel Ricciardo. And while we're on the topic of Ricciardo, his former team boss Cyril Abiteboul has a few choice words to say to him, including selfish, among other things. Plenty of drama to talk about in anticipation of the Las Vegas Grand Prix, so be sure to stick around for all of it. Formula One commentator Peter Windsor thinks Valtteri Bottas, who won't have a future with Audi, would be an ideal choice for Red Bull to team up with Max Verstappen. Verstappen continues to shine in 2023, delivering standout performances and breaking records with an impressive 17 out of Red Bull's 19 Grand Prix victories. This dominant display has secured him a third consecutive World Championship title. On the flip side, Perez has faced challenges, experiencing a downturn in performance, but a more robust showing in the recent race in Brazil has positioned him well to fend off Lewis Hamilton's pursuit of a distant P2 finish in the Drivers' Championship. Windsor has passionately defended Perez despite a noticeable dip in form, consistently asserting that he is precisely the type of number 2 driver that Red Bull needs alongside Verstappen. But when Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso reclaimed the lead over Perez on the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix, securing the last podium spot, it sparked a shift in Windsor's perspective. This turn of events has led him to consider the notion that Red Bull might want to consider replacing Perez. As a result, he started to evaluate drivers whom he believed could be capable of taking on the role of Verstappen's teammate at Red Bull. Windsor shared this insight during his latest YouTube livestream. Maybe Perez, now you could say, after getting beaten by Fernando Alonso and Aston Martin around Brazil, maybe the time has come to think about getting somebody who's a bit more adaptable and a bit more of a racer in all conditions than Sergio Perez. Probably not in terms of pace, because you don't want a George Russell in there, you don't want an Oscar Piastri in there stirring things up. And so who else would I put in that second seat? I think Carlos Sainz would be a good number 2 to Max at Red Bull. I'd like to say Mick Schumacher. I don't know if he's been out of it so long it'd be difficult for him to even be as quick as Perez has been on occasions at places like Baku, Monaco. I think it'd probably be too big of an ask for him. Liam Lawson, maybe, but I'm not sure Red Bull want to go that route, do they? They don't want to have a young guy that they've got to train up still. I know he's done a few races, but their whole image is that we have these seasoned Grand Prix drivers, and Perez has been around a long time. Nico Hülkenberg could probably do a very good job in the other car, I think. Daniel Ricciardo would do a great job. Should never have left the team in the first place, the perfect complement to Max. I won't say number 2. Saving the best for last, Windsor ultimately suggested that Red Bull should present a multi-year contract to Valtteri Bottas, the current Alfa Romeo racer, as the ideal choice for Verstappen's teammate. Bottas boasts an impressive 5-season stint as Hamilton's teammate at Mercedes on his resume before bringing that wealth of experience to the Alfa Romeo team operated by Sauber. Nevertheless, with Audi entering the grid in 2026 in collaboration with Sauber, uncertainties arise regarding Bottas's role in their future plans. According to Windsor, Bottas likely already recognizes that he doesn't have a future with Audi, making him the ideal choice for Red Bull alongside Verstappen. Valtteri Bottas would be another guy who I think would do a good job in that second Red Bull. He's the sort of guy that Red Bull would hire, actually, because he's got a good pedigree. He's a bit quieter than Perez. He's not by no means in the same class as Max or Lewis or Charles Leclerc, but he's not bad. Better than Perez, I think. If you're going to look at anybody, Bottas would be the guy. It would be worth making an offer to Bottas, because I can't imagine he imagines he's going to be in Audi's future. I'm sure he's not. So just a nice 2-year deal for Bottas would be a very good move. This might be the move to go with, because Red Bull's most popular backup option, Daniel Ricciardo, has one major character flaw that might be detrimental to the future of the team. Ex-Renault F1 chief Cyril Abiteboul has labelled Daniel Ricciardo as selfish for the way he left the team at the conclusion of the 2020 season. Abiteboul suggests that Ricciardo has formed a pattern of making poor career decisions, asserting that the Australian departed both Renault and McLaren prematurely. Ricciardo made waves in the F1 community by opting to depart the race-winning Red Bull team in the summer of 2018, opting instead for a lucrative deal with the midfielders Renault. Following a demanding inaugural season at Enston in 2019, Ricciardo secured 2 podium finishes for Renault in the pandemic-affected 2020 campaign. It's worth noting that this success occurred after he had already committed to joining McLaren. Despite playing a pivotal role in ending McLaren's 9-year win drought at Monza in 2021, Ricciardo faced consistent challenges throughout his tenure with the team. Ultimately, he reached an agreement to terminate his contract at the end of the last year. Interestingly, McLaren has since emerged as the closest contenders to the 2023 world champions Red Bull. PROBABLE expressed his frustration over Ricciardo's choice to depart from Renault before embarking on his second season with the team. Reflecting on the matter during an appearance on the Dans la Bouteille à Gand podcast, he said, "He makes his decision in April or May. The world is at a standstill. We don't know how we're going to get back on track, if we're going to get back on track. In fact, I think it's a very early move, a bit selfish, because in the end, it will have given the team just one season's chance. And so it's true that it's a decision that I'm taking badly. Badly." When questioned about whether he took Ricciardo's decision personally, PROBABLE replied, "Of course, because I can see that it's a personal rejection. I take it completely personally, I accept it, and I can see what the consequences are going to be too." Having been used to winning races with Red Bull, PROBABLE noticed that Ricciardo initially faced challenges adjusting to midfield machinery during his first year at Renault. He referred to a mistake-laden race in Baku, where Ricciardo reversed into Daniel Kvyat after both drivers went down the escape road, as a particularly low point. PROBABLE explained, "The team was in the process of structuring itself and getting organised. We're making progress, but that means we're not at Red Bull's level. He came from the standard environment, Red Bull, and so inevitably there was a feeling of being demoted. It was difficult for him, psychologically. In 2019, the Baku Grand Prix was absolutely horrendous, with him making mistake after mistake. In short, he's completely out of his depth, and that's complicated for us. I didn't think it would be this difficult in 2019, and conversely, I didn't think that in 2020 there would be COVID, a global pandemic that would block us, and during which he would decide to end his contract at the end of the year. I obviously don't see that happening. And I don't see it happening either that we would have such a good year in 2020, all the same, with podiums and a car that once again, by making a few less mistakes, could have finished third in the standings. After that, at some point you have to bounce back, and it's complicated because we issue very cold, very harsh press releases where you can feel the feeling. What's more, Netflix is probably filming the show at the time, so they're telling it differently afterwards. And the season didn't turn out all as we'd imagined. It turned out much better than we'd expected. But, at the same time, we set out to do something else. We set off on projects, signing Fernando Alonso as Ricciardo's replacement. I'm completely switching to something else, and I don't think we had the slightest opportunity to discuss whether Ricciardo regretted it, whether we regretted it. In any case, once I'm gone, I'm gone. I don't think Ricciardo could have imagined the car making such progress, and neither could we. I can also understand his strategy. McLaren sold him a bit of a bill of goods to get him, but that's part of the game. Ricciardo always has a timing problem. He left us too early, and he left McLaren too early. Will Valtteri Bottas be a better number 2 to Max Verstappen than he was to Lewis Hamilton? Tell us what you think in the comment section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.